All right, this is the February meeting of the Berlin Council on Aging. It's being done by Zoom meeting. The public is invited to attend as always. If they wish to speak, they would need to raise their hand on the screen and the administrator can let them in. Is that the concept?
Yeah, we
I see
can,
it.
we
I
can,
see
yeah.
it. Yeah. You know, when you're a radio DJ, you can't nod your head because people can't tell that you're nodding. Anyway, yeah. It's good. We have a summary, an agenda here. And I will call the meeting to order at 4:03 on Tuesday, February 23rd. We'll do a roll call. Laura, say here if you are. Lori Fairbay, Kate Bliss, Karen Schultz.
Here.
Rachel Boyer.
Here.
Wes Durant. Wesley.
He's muted.
He's muted.
Wes, we can't go like this and tell him to put his sound on either.
Nope. Well, he should be able to
Pat
hear
Wheeler.
us.
Here.
And Bob Blair here. And we have, in addition, Chris Keefe from the Board of Selectmen, the chair, in fact, of the Board of Selectmen, as a liaison for town government, and possibly Margaret Nardowitz, town administrator, who will join us later, I guess.
Mm.
All right.
And me. And me.
Oh, yeah. And we have Victoria Flynn,
There you go.
who is the Council on Aging Director.
Feel the love, Bob. Feel the love.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the Council on Aging meeting on January 26th? Everyone's so emotional. Is there I'll move, we accept the meetings from the Council on Aging meeting of January 26th. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Wonderful. All in favor? Rachel Boyer,
Aye.
Karen Schultz.
Aye.
Wes Durant. Silent partner. Pat Wheeler.
Yeah. Accept.
Bob Blair. Aye. Meeting minutes from the January 26th meeting are accepted as submitted. Do we have a report on financial updates from Victoria?
We do. All right. So as of now, since last meeting, we have had the following information. Donations, we've had about $20. For expenses, it's been $182.04. This
Say that again.
includes donations is 20. Expenses is $182.04. Welcome. Part-time wages is $682.06. And then my wages are $2,163.80.
What was the 80 cents for? Never mind.
Well, I tell you, but no.
We're running it. We're running it at large deficit here. We've got donations of $20, expenses of $182.04. What is the what were the expenses for?
Gas, stamps, and Meal on Wheel driver mileage reimbursement.
Okay.
Not in that order, but in general.
Yeah.
They were-
All right.
they were-
Anybody have any questions about
I was
the
gonna say, the expenses were for gas.
Gas,
stamp?
stamps, postage stamps, and then Meals on Wheel driver reimbursement
They get paid. They
for
get
mileage.
paid for mileage driven.
I'm having a delay in hearing you. That's why I'm sorry I keep asking.
Oh, don't worry. If we need to repeat, it's fine. I talk fast, so all good.
All right. Van service.
All right,
How
so
many rides per week and how many people are we allowing in the van and how many seats are there in the van now?
At this point, van is still averaging anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week of service. The past few weeks we've had weather issues, so it's kind of delayed. We've had to shuffle people around, but we're averaging anywhere from 3 to 4 days minimally for rides. At this point, we're still only doing one household at a time, because it's very tough to make the van socially distanced, with the seats. We only have 4 seats in the back, and that's really to help if people have, like, say, like an oxygen tank or like supplies such as like a walker or something like that that need to be secured. We can use those seats for it, but the van seats, majority of them are out, and I foresee that they'll be out for a bit of time to come. We had the van had gone in last week. There was that rear tire that had that there was a rear tire that had some like plastic that popped out during one of the rides. So they took a look at that and they had to order a part. I just have to basically call. The parts are in, they can fix it. I just have to call and make an appointment, but we've been slammed. So I'm just
So
waiting
is that a
for.
rear tire or is a surround for the rear
It's
tire?
it's like the plastic. It's not the tire itself, it's plastic. So
Huh.
it got bumped during one of the rides and it fell off. There's a little piece of it that fell off, so we had to just basically have a new part reordered.
Okay. Maybe we should
So-
send along some crazy glue with the driver when they're out.
So that's what I'm just waiting for. But like I said, between the weather and we've had so many rides, I don't really want to take the van out of service for like
Yeah.
half a day if especially if we're really busy.
Yeah.
So I told them I'll give them a call as soon as I can.
Okay, I'm just thinking about the number of riders possible, because we had a request this week for somebody to have a medical ride to Worcester and wanted to take along a relative who.
You're allowed like a person to help you. So it is fine as long as they have to basically state like in their application that yes, you need assistance and who's going to be providing the assistance, that's fine. You can't have like multiple people, but you are allowed to have one person to help you out.
Okay, and are you separating them or are you assuming if they're the helpers that
No, they're
supposed to-
fine.
okay, yeah,
They're fine. I kind of look at those as like one household. So like if say for example, even like 2 people in the same household needed one person to go with them, that's fine. They're all like basically we're kind of considering that like one household unit when they go to their appointment. So we're not mixing household units for
I guess
rides.
the reason I was asking about how many are transported in it now is because if we were talking about, which is an issue on COVID shots, if we were talking about transporting people to that, it's super inefficient to do it in a 1-seat van.
I know. So Margaret, Chief Clark and I have been looking into this. We're looking into seeing if there's a way that we can get reimbursement for COVID relief funds for this. And we're trying to explore what the different options are. I don't know if it's honestly feasible to take the COA van out of commission for a whole day for round trip rides, especially since now like the closest mass vaccination site's Natick, which mileage wise isn't far, but distance wise, you're looking at 40-45 minutes one way. Plus, then if they have to wait for people and then bring them back, like you could be burning easily, several hours to a day doing this. So we're just trying to look and see what's really are like feasible options to try to help people with this. So there's some towns that are using like their local like police departments. There's some towns that are coordinating lifts, Ubers, like that type of thing. We're just trying to see what's the best option for our residents, and we'll go from there. So
Somebody had suggested, well, I get to stick with the van for just a second. I was wondering why it isn't possible to have 2 seats, 2 different people behind the driver. I mean, it seems like it would be long enough to have decent space there.
I think, again, it's also, does the driver feel comfortable with it as well? It's, do people feel comfortable? Because you also have to look at it too, that a vaccination shot is also a HIPAA, is also related to HIPAA as well. Do you feel comfortable having somebody else know that you're going to, are you going to consent to it along like a HIPAA, along HIPAA lines? Do you feel comfortable having, 2 people, again, for exposure? Do you feel comfortable potentially being exposed to somebody who you may or may not know? So there's a kind of a lot of different factors to weigh into it.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
wish we had multiple vans. I do, because I think like if that was the case, like a lot of other cities and towns have multiple vans. So they can designate one solely just for transportation for, the vaccine. We obviously don't have that. So we're going to have to just get a little creative.
okay. Somebody had mentioned school buses at one time, and all I can say is that they are nasty to get on and off if you have any sorts of leg
Yeah.
or hip issues.
Yeah, like I said, at this point, we're just trying to see what it is the state is allowing us for reimbursement, and then we can kind of go from there. So we're figuring it out.
You said Natick is the closest mass vaccination site, and you indicated in one of your emails that they're pulling back from doing work at Devon's, which I don't understand at all. But what happened with Worcester State University? That was supposed to be going on as a mass
Yeah.
site.
So the Worcester State University is continuing as of now, but I don't know going forward. It's not deemed a mass vaccination site. So the thought may be that once it runs out of its supply, it's done. I'm not sure if that's going to continue. I don't know. I'm not sure if Worcester State's going to continue to be ongoing. Margaret had mentioned last night at the select board meeting that what the state's now focusing on is that if a site can distribute up to 700 vaccines a day, every day for each of the phases, that is now what's qualifying as a mass vaccination site. So
Okay, one of the things the governor's been saying is we have all these people who can administer the vaccine. We don't have enough vaccine to put in their hands to put into
yes,
people.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't get the whole, the whole damn thing, basically. But as far as mass vaccination sites, certainly Worcester State University's got big enough interior space. Not that I'm arguing on their behalf, but anyway, it's a little mystifying, but I'll get back to that when we're talking about the senior
Well,
call.
join the club, because I mean we're just as frustrated too. I mean, I'm meeting with the state every other week in a giant meeting with the Executive Office of Elder Affairs and the Elder Services agencies, and all of us in Council on Aging directors are like, we're stuck. Like, what do you want us to do? Especially because a lot of the town senior centers have been able to distribute vaccines, and now they're gone. They're going to be running out. So it's, the problem's going to be is, okay, how do we now help people? And again, the focus is trying to become more to the pharmacy level and to these mass vaccination sites. And again, if there's not a lot of supply and you're trying to, basically move it to where, it's going to be most used, I can understand that. But at the same point too, look at the population that right now is getting vaccines is, the 65 and older, or people with massive, comorbidities in terms of health. Again, it's not feasible for people to try to maneuver their way around Gillette Stadium or Fenway Park or some of these other venues. So I'm hoping that, as the vaccine distribution increases, that, these, epically complicated ways to try to get an appointment, will lessen. I'm hoping that, these will be eventually streamlined, but until that happens, we're kind of caught. There's not really much more we can do.
Okay, more on that a bit into the agenda here.
Well, it's actually next, I think, right?
You have yoga.
Oh, yoga. Okay. We're still doing Saturday morning yoga. It's virtual. It's going well. It's all over YouTube. So I'm happy about that. We're getting solid participation. It's a big hit. So I'm happy about that. We did get an email from another agency that is doing yoga and other exercises virtually. They're based out of Worcester. And what they do is that they ask for like a fee of like $2-3 a session for a virtual session. And they said that they've worked with other council on agings like to collect these fees, beforehand. I just told them that I was just curious about what it is that they're offering. I know that a lot of seniors who've been doing the yoga say, like it's the highlight of my week. And, for a lot of people, again, having that virtual kind of exercise, maybe something to look into. But I just wanted to talk to you all and see if that's something that you'd want us to try to pursue.
Well, we have now on-site yoga. People go to a site and do it. No.
No, it's all virtual.
So how is what you're talking about different from what we're doing now?
It's just an increased number of it. So like they would be able to offer sessions like multiple times a week, while as we only offer it once.
Huh. Well, if there's a market for it, how many people are we serving now?
It depends. Like we're getting about 5 people a week for yoga, which was what we really had like beforehand. It's I think that, there's a lot of people that are watching like the YouTube videos later as well, because they're available. And I think these videos would also have a way to be seen at a later date and time.
We don't charge now for yoga, or do we? Or do people
We
make
ask,
it?
we ask for a donation, but I mean, it's virtual. So it's, at this point, I'm just like, well, it's okay. So,
Not getting the donations because it's virtual.
yeah.
But
How
this
do you
other
feel?
agency would require payment upfront.
Yeah. They would ask seniors to have their donations.
How do you feel about being a cashier for the yoga program?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I also can understand too, again, I know that, it's a tough time for a lot of people and that financially it may not be feasible, but, I mean, I have no problem like putting out like some information like on Facebook or something like that and see if people are interested. And if we got, enough people potentially interested, then it's something we could talk about.
Does the outfit who's proposing this have a threshold that you have to exceed? At least 5 people, at least 10 people, or what?
Not to my knowledge, because I think what they can do is I think it's like a mass session that could involve people from like all different areas at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So I don't believe so, but I can definitely ask.
Okay. Does anybody else speak up? If you have, anybody else has a view on this, it sounds reasonable and a good thing to do if people are interested. As Victoria says, she can put the feeler out and see what people say. If anyone is, if enough people are interested, it seems like it would be a good option for people to have.
How do they collect the money? Victoria, would they go through you or do they require the individuals to sign up directly?
They would probably, what they were doing through, especially now because it's virtual, is they're going through basically the councils on aging.
Okay.
So they were saying that some of the councils basically are, collecting the donations and then they can be paid, the council can then pass the money on that
Okay.
way.
So it's not complicated for the user to
No,
have to pay upfront.
no, right.
They don't have to access this information through the, I don't know, COVID information site or any of that, right?
No.
Because they wouldn't be ready to do any yoga until about June, if that were the case. Okay, any other discussion on the yoga program? All right. Thank you, Victoria, on that one. Durable medical equipment, looks like you have half a room full.
Yeah, we do. We're still getting requests for delivery and for receiving equipment. So I'm just trying to keep it updated as much as I can.
Is
So
anything pending now that you need somebody to help bring or take or deliver?
I'm just trying to think. We have the raised toilet seat that you delivered last week. They're all set with it, so that they're going to drop it off. But beyond that, I have somebody who may be interested in a tub bench, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
That
if they-
part is manageable.
if they want stuff delivered, well, it's getting warmer, so I guess it won't be an issue. We should ask them to sand or salt their walks. Because one of the things I deliver, I thought I was gonna kill myself on their stairs,
I
trying
hear
to get
you.
it up to the house. It was loopy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've done that too a couple times. So, but thankfully, like it's almost March, so I'm hoping that that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah,
too
I don't
much
want to get to
longer.
their door with the object in hand and look like I'm in a yoga pose at their door because I just went down on their walk. Okay. Information session. What is this about? Do we want to interview people in town about, say, what, for instance?
So I had an info session last week with Aileen Lemoyne. She's one of the pharmacists that works out of Mass College of Pharmacy. So what she does is she and a couple of her colleagues basically work with seniors to help them like get, prescription coverage plans, like help them kind of understand like what plan is best for the medications that they're taking. They help do like pharmacy reviews for medication. They help to kind of explain like potential side effects to be aware of, that type of thing. So she also was talking about COVID as well, and kind of kind of going over like some of the myths or some of the concerns that seniors had been having regarding the COVID vaccination. So I talked to her. They have like a whole bunch of different information sessions about like I think diabetes and like heart issues, lung issues, things of that nature. So I told her, I was like, listen, I'm like, if you're open to doing a once a month meeting with me, I'm like, we're willing to plug whatever information you can give us, because I think this information is helpful to seniors, but also to caregivers and even younger people who may be experiencing these health issues as well.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know, like, if there was, I know like we're doing like some of the different topics with the Powderhouse News, like Jude Miller's been writing an article, like we've been getting kind of more of the information, you know, like who do you know in Berlin kind of thing. And I just didn't know like if there was anybody that, you know, wanted to be interviewed, or if there was any topics that we wanted to pursue in a video format that we could get up on YouTube, we could get up through the cable access, just to again kind of help bring, you know, some diversity out there.
So Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Science people would present via Berlin cable, or how? What's
So
their?
so the way we're doing it is that I did a recorded Zoom, like our meeting, and then that got sent over to Brittany, and then Brittany was uploading it to YouTube and to cable.
Okay. I mean, more information, the better, it seems like to me. And it seems like, I actually don't know, Chris, maybe you know, where one finds what is on Berlin cable. Is there a program listing or something that says on Tuesday this happens, and Wednesday that happens?
I think there is. I'm not sure what the channel would be.
It's 100 something. I mean, there are two different channels,
Yeah.
but I didn't know if there's some place you can go online on My Town Government, whatever, that says this is what cable is broadcasting this week on these days. Because we do these
I don't
things
know
like
about my town government. I don't know, Margaret, maybe you know more than I do.
I'm on the website right now under Berlin TV, and it says subscribe to our YouTube. Then it gives the old cable channel and the new digital channels, but I do not see a TV listing. I don't see it. So that's something we could ask them.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're talking about adding a bunch of programs that would be of use to people, it'd be nice if they knew where to look to find those programs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right now,
I'll reach out to them now and I'll copy you.
Marby, thank you.
Thanks, Margaret.
Any more on that, Victoria?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And there are other programs. I mean, if we get the thing so people know where to look, and they seem to be very open to, at least when I talk with Brittany, they're very open to crafting programs and putting them on and even repeating them. I'd just love to see that happen, because people are shut in and they've got some of the TV programs they walk into when I'm doing Meals on Wheels is all, to me, kind of stupid stuff. But of course, I'm old, so maybe everything looks like stupid stuff. But anyway.
Well, yoga's been on TV. So, and people have commented to me, they're like, oh, yoga's on. And I'm like, well, there you go. So, and they've been happy about it. So.
Good. Okay. I'd love to see that utilized more, with people being stuck at home instead of watching reruns of something created in the 50s. Maybe they like that, though. Who knows? All right. Powderhouse News. Is Laurie on now?
Mm-mm.
No. Do you have an idea? I was going to call her, but I thought she'd be on, of when it's going to actually arrive for us to distribute.
It got submitted on Friday. I would
Last Friday.
assume,
Yeah.
yes. So I would assume it's probably going to get there, if not by the end of the week, beginning of next week.
My understanding was that they print on Friday, so if they got it Friday, theoretically they should have been
She
able to back
sent
it up.
it. She sent it Friday afternoon, and they told me that when I talked with them, they said assume it takes a week for printing.
Wow, I don't get it. Wow, so you really, yeah, so that means your deadline for the next bi-monthly issue is really fairly early in the preceding month. So that.
Yes. So our next
little-
deadline would be mid-April for May, June.
Yeah, that makes it a little weird on things like Gone But Not Forgotten. Now you got the May, June issue, and the last person you're reporting is left us in the middle of April.
Yeah.
I don't, well, maybe we need to, maybe Laurie and whoever need to talk with the LPI people and say,
Yeah.
can I get a shorter window?
The thing is that like I kind of tell everybody content deadline is mid-month, but like our actual deadline's a week later, just because I don't want like 45 articles coming in like the day it's supposed to be submitted. So
Yeah.
I kind of like warm, but I mean like the gone but not forgotten can then be like added, like could be like the last thing that's added. You know, we could wait to get like the most up-to-date list. So again, it's not like a mid-month, it may be like towards the end of the month kind of
Yeah.
an addition.
That was, in fact, in this issue, it was sent after she had everything else because we hadn't really locked it in.
Yeah.
And in this issue, we included a couple of people that the town clerk didn't list as town residents because they grew up, were born and grew up here. It just seemed like it would be a reasonable thing to include them in the listing because
Right.
they would have so many friends in town. All right, so that's the Powderhouse. Oh, yes, so we're looking for ideas on who to feature in the meet section. That's MEET. And this month, this issue, we have Margaret Nardowitz, the famed town administrator of the small town of Berlin in central Massachusetts. And we have Barry Yeager, who's the moderator of town meetings. Natalie dressed in a Hawaiian shirt and a straw hat. I thought he should have had a Mai Tai in his hand, but anyway. So we're looking for ideas for the next issue, and we're all ears.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody in particular that we want to have be highlighted next issue.
We haven't talked with the either of the chiefs. And there are lots of other people in town who get stuff done that would be nice to talk with, so. And also, we're looking for people to contribute articles for the 5 Ws section, which is things people know about places and occurrences in town that are nice to wrap up for people to know. All right. So the deadline on the next one would be, what do we say? This is March, April, so it'd be, yeah, halfway
Hold
through
on.
April be the deadline.
So, submission deadline is I think it's the 26th, 2019 to the 26th. Let me just double check.
Of April?
Yeah,
That's, well, that's late enough that we wouldn't get the issue onto the street until,
May, because it's a
Yeah.
May, June issue.
yeah, but we wouldn't get it until a week or two into May. Given that
Not
they take,
necessarily. It depends. So the next issue's due the 23rd of April.
you mean submitting articles for Lori to lay
No,
out?
no. Submitting it to LPI is due the 23rd. Getting it to Lori would be due like the 16th, 18th.
Yeah,
in that
okay.
range.
Submission date's 26th, okay.
Yeah. Because like I said, I try to give Lori like 5 to 7 days because I don't want her being slammed last minute with.
Yeah.
So I usually just email like our regulars and just say, hey, if you want something in here, here's the deadline date.
Yeah.
And then I usually get something back like 5 minutes later. So,
Okay,
but I mean, Chief Clark's been great. He's been giving like a lot of like fire safety tips for seniors. So I've
Mhm.
actually been very happy about that. So,
Chris or Margaret, do you have any wish that, any communication wish from either of you, from the administrator's point of view or from the selectman's point of view, that should be included as a regular column or an occasional column in the Powderhouse News?
Well, you'll have town meeting coming up, most likely. I don't know if there's something that you may want to talk about. Let seniors know that the town meeting will be, certain date, time, place. And hopefully it will all stay the same, who knows?
We can certainly put the information in, and then if it changes, around town on a horse and say, the British aren't coming, the British aren't coming. Or later
that.
already. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have already discussed this. I apologize. the COVID information, I mean, this is going to be around with us for quite a while. So you're, Victoria, you've probably already prepared something to put the contact information for the state call center, the website, and things like that. So I think those would really be priority right now, especially contacts with the COA. Recognizing, of course, that the state is changing information almost on a daily basis, but I don't expect the call center number to change.
That very issue is something I was raising both about what we put into the Powderhouse News and also what we say if we're doing calling all seniors, because well, we're going to get to the calling all seniors thing shortly, but some people are twitchy about offering information only to have it flip around on you 5 minutes after you say it or the next day. So
Yeah.
That's a hard call. I mean, especially if you put something in the Powderhouse News and then it's not printed until 2 weeks later, you know a whole lot's going to change in 2 weeks. So people get frustrated with that. Say, "What? You just told me I could go here, and now that's closed."
Exactly. Very frustrating. And Bob, I do have some information to add when you get to that segment of the agenda as far as what the state is requiring of regional collaboratives. The only other thing that I can think is it's always prevalent, but right now it's especially prevalent, fraud and scams and things like that.
Yeah.
So maybe some tips, tips for seniors to protect
Yeah.
themselves.
Fraud and scam tips. Okay. Calling seniors. Aha, we're at that point. So I was, Victoria, I just saw that you had updated the list with how many phone numbers did you get, by the way? Because we were missing about half of them on there.
I think we got about 20 new ones. Some of the letters that we sent out came back. I think about like 24 came back, but majority of them got through. I think I sent out like 130.
Huh.
I mean, we have gotten some people, we have gotten the meal helped to get a lot of the missing numbers that we didn't have. And, people asking about COVID information has helped to fill in some of those gaps as well. I would still say there's probably a good like 100 households that we don't have information for, which is okay. My thought is with resuming the senior calls, what we can do is just basically check in with everybody like we did back in December and just say, do you have any questions about COVID vaccines, any concerns about like transportation or anything like that? And again, if people feel comfortable sharing, that's fine. But if they don't, then that's okay as well. It's just to put the offer out there. Because a lot of people have, when they've, been contacted back, they'll just say like, thank you very much for at least even offering. That's gone over well. So I think just, again, kind of extending that arm out of just saying, hey, you're not forgotten. Just let us know if you need anything. If not, it's okay. Has been.
Okay, therein possibly lies a bit of the problem. I was going through the list of people who made the calls last time, and I had at least 2 drop out because they said they didn't feel comfortable calling and telling people information when they weren't really sure what the latest news or the accurate news is. And they don't want people calling them back and saying, hey, you told me I could go here. Now Devon's isn't doing it anymore.
The part would be just really like if people had particular questions, they would just be referred to me because like I said, I get most of the updates. It would just be more just like, do people have particular questions and just writing them down? It's not that they would necessarily be responsible for knowing this information. It's just kind of gauging and seeing like, do people have questions or, because again, people could be vaccinated and they're like, nope, I'm all set. Thanks for checking and done.
Well, that alone is useful information to get. Is when you call them, say, have you been vaccinated yet?
So right. I mean, and again, people may or may not feel comfortable sharing that, which is why, like, I think if we kind of pose it like, if you feel comfortable answering these questions, we're just checking in, just seeing, do you have any concerns about COVID? We're just trying to see if there's an unmet need of people who are still trying to get vaccinated and are having issues. And if you kind of pose it like that, it's taking, it's still trying to get the information that you want, but it's also taking some pressure off of people. Because again, it's a sensitive topic and, we're understanding of that. So, Like I said, I think just if it's really how you're going to phrase it. Like, do you feel comfortable talking, talking to me a few minutes about just COVID vaccine? Have you received the vaccine? Do you have any questions about it? And again, if people don't feel comfortable sharing, that's fine. But I mean, at least it's going to help us, kind of know like, okay, like this person is having a question about it. I can call them back. I can follow up with them, and we can go that way.
Okay, I'm gonna have to recruit a few more people, I think, because I have been through a little more
Yeah.
than half of the 29.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple people that have basically reached out to me saying, please let us know if you need anything. So I can definitely send you their names and their contact information, and we can probably add them on as recruiters.
Okay, I think
callers.
we also need to redo the talking points sheet because we're
Yeah, we
gonna be
will.
focusing more on COVID.
Yep. Yep, we can just draft a new sheet. That won't be hard.
Do you think there's a HIPAA issue with asking people if they've had or is it just an embarrassment issue? I don't know why they'd be embarrassed if they've had or not had.
It's technical. Well, it is a HIPAA related question, because when you're asking about someone's personal health information, that is strictly related to HIPAA. So
We're
again,
not
like people
tracking
then
that.
have the right.
Right, we're not going
No.
to track that and share that with anyone.
No, but even still, like, I mean, it's a comfort. It's really more comfort than anything. I would just say, like, again, like if you feel comfortable answering these questions, here's what we have. Do you have any questions about the vaccine? Kind of start that way. And again, people may say like, no, I don't, I've already had it. Great. Okay, moving on. Or they may say like, yeah, like I have these questions. I can't seem to get through this website. Do you know somebody who can help me? Then send it to me.
Yeah.
And we can just do it that way.
Okay, so between you and me, we need to rejigger the talking points list.
Yeah.
So that will go out with the
sounds
new call lists. And you said, so there are about 20 that came back. My recollection, don't fall down like that, iPhone. My recollection is that there's a ton of names we don't have accurate phone numbers for out of the 900 and some.
I mean,
would bet that
like I
there
said,
are 200 to 300.
we did get some response back. And like I said, when we had the meals, we did get a lot of those gaps filled in. That's the one good thing. Guesstimating, just like looking at the list, I think like there's still I think I sent out like about 130 like requests out like to households, 130 households. Because again, we had like some seniors that like, had multiple seniors in a household, and we didn't have numbers for either. So they just got
Right.
one letter, because I'm not writing the same letter twice.
Yeah.
So I would say about like 130 households got the mailing, and I think about maybe 24 came back as like not deliverable. So we can take a look at it, just see like, did people move? Is it just that they're, is it just that didn't have like it missed something, and then we could just resend it out again. So we'll figure that out.
He actually came back with phone numbers to fill in.
I think about like 10, 15 to start, maybe 20.
Yeah.
But the thing is though, is that like now, like, but like with COVID, like we've actually gotten a lot of people too, like giving like email addresses and phone numbers as well. So again, like that's also been helpful. So then again, it fills in the gap.
Okay, well, we'll send out what we have and try to get people who don't feel squirrely about calling and talking about COVID. All right. Oh, also, it's a good point, and I think people should note this on their call sheets. Allow seniors to reject calls if they don't want them, and it clearly indicate that, so we're not calling people back to the point where they start saying, you really don't need to do this. It's becoming kind of a pain in the neck. Whereas other people are saying, thank you so much for calling. We're really happy to. Would like to call the grateful people, not to be like Donald Trump. You only call people who are nice to you, but we'll call everybody. But if they say they don't want to be, that should be noted clearly on the sheet.
That's their choice. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, you're talking about starting monthly. Are you really envisioning us contacting people once a month? Maybe we should be asking how
I think
frequently that might
especially,
be called.
in my mind, I'm just thinking once a month because because we're still shut down. Like once once some of the pandemic, like regulations loosen, then, yeah, I don't think we need to be contacting people as much. But until like the lockdowning phases really lift, and again, I'm not sure how much longer that's going to be. Like if we reach out to people, I think every 4 to 6 weeks, I think we're in good shape. Just again, just check in and just see.
Okay. Does anyone on the Council on Aging have any other new business they would like to bring up? Any new news? Marriages? New children? Rich relatives willing to donate to the COA? I'm not hearing a loud response there. Come on. No,
You notice we're all smiling.
yeah. Well, all right then. If there is no other new business, any, either Chris or Margaret, do you have anything you'd like to put in here?
I was just going to give you, I was supporting what Victoria said earlier about the regional collaborative
Yeah.
clinics. So the DPH's webinar, or the information they put out last Friday, noted that the regional collaborations must be able to, like Victoria said, vaccinate at least 750 people a day, 5 days a week for an extended period of time through phase 2 and phase 3.
Wow.
Let's see, they must serve all residents of the Commonwealth. So we cannot have a regional site that serves only members of the region, which is what we had been trying to work through with, through the Devon site, but that is not going to happen. So the state has changed its criteria. They want to be able to streamline the vaccines and focus more on the mass vaccination sites. That's essentially what it is. And the only other thing that I wanted to say was we do have some money left from in our COVID funds for the meals distribution. So at any point when the COA is ready to maybe do an additional meals distribution to seniors, we have some coronavirus relief funds that could support that.
Excellent. There was, what was the other, somebody else was offering to do lunch distributions
Yes.
within.
Oh, wheat.
Little
Yes,
lasagna.
wheat.
Wheat.
Yes. So you skipped that. Okay. Yes. So wheat.
That.
So Jody Bridella Wheat was had reached out to me. There for the town of Clinton, and I believe for Bolton and for part of Lancaster as well. They're doing hot lunches, and for Clinton they're doing hot lunches and dinners. But for the other towns they're doing hot lunches. So she wanted to see if this was something that we'd be interested in doing for maybe Northbrook. I had talked to Lori to see if there's a way that we could, like, she was volunteering to make kind of like a leaflet for us that we could kind of get distributed to that area, just to see if people would be interested. We
Yeah.
would have to figure out like a way to get the meals, basically, a volunteer to help like drop off the meals every day. But it could even be something as simple as that, like we have somebody meet like in the front door, and then we bring, they can then bring the meals inside and kind of distribute them to the various, apartments or residences per person. But it was just something just to kind of, again, help kind of bridge the gap from the fact that not everybody may have, either the food pantry, or they just may even need more support from just the food pantry itself. So it's kind of like asking if we would be interested in it. I think it would be something worth exploring, but again, it's something else too, that like if only 3 people want it, it's not really worth our time.
Right.
But
Right.
if we have like a large enough people, and they want to start with Northbrook first, because again, most populated area in a very small, region, like just starting with them first, seeing if they would want it, and then potentially kind of expanding it from there.
Yeah, I do one of the meals runs during the week, and we have 9 now on Tuesdays and 8 on Thursday, the same people, but 8 on Thursday. One of them only gets on Tuesday. Not that many in Northbrook 2, none in Northbrook 1. As far as group distribution, maybe this is why Northbrook 2 got the vaccination when they did. Everybody's within the same wall structure, whereas you've got multiple buildings in Northbrook 1. some 2, 4, 6 apartments within those structures. So that's a little more tricky. You'd be spending some time going around to 12 different buildings.
Right.
Okay, that's something we can definitely explore. In terms of transportation, by the way, I've heard this good project that somebody thought up, sounded like an excellent twofer, is if they're still doing the COVID shots for people who transport somebody to an appointment. One of the towns has recruited their teachers who've been agitating to get their vaccinations to transport somebody to the site. So now the teacher is vaccinated and the person who is category eligible get the shots.
So here's the hiccup with that. In theory, it's working well, but the state is noticing a lot of fraud of people claiming to be caregivers who are milking this to then try to get ahead to get the vaccines when they're not ready. So there'll be people saying, oh, yeah, I'm Susie's caregiver, when they don't even know Susie. They met Susie 20 minutes ago in line, and then now they're trying to go and get the shot. So the state, and unfortunately, and I'm not specifying like anybody in general, but they're saying that they're noticing is obviously not just in Massachusetts, but in other areas as well, that there is a risk of people really trying to get the shot who shouldn't be at the current moment in time.
Yeah.
So what their response to this is that if somebody is going to be deemed a caregiver for somebody, I believe it's 75 and older, they have to be going to a mass vaccination site. And when you go on the massimmunizations, .org, they're really specifying Gillette or Fenway. They're really trying to focus it on the bigger mass vaccination sites because that's the ones that are going to have the largest supply of vaccine, because the smaller clinics can say no. It's really up to them. But in terms of the bigger mass vac sites, they need to be registered and they need to be getting an appointment at roughly the same time. Like their loved one can't have an appointment at 9 a.m. and then they're coming, at 4 o'clock. It doesn't work that way. Like they're going to have roughly an appointment around the same time.
Yeah.
And then they could be qualifying to get a shot.
Okay. So one question that we didn't talk about with regard to the COVID shots is, what was it? Why is it now flying out of my head? Right. I'm going to think of it 2 seconds after we adjourn.
It's okay.
Well, all right. I'll bring it up with you. Anyway. Oh, I know what it is. Some people are shut in. They can't get out. They can't drive to these mass
Yes.
vaccination sites. What's the story with that?
So the state is trying to work to figure out basically best implementation for those who are homebound. So they are still trying to figure out the logistics of it, because the vials of the vaccine themselves, once they are deemed broken out of their brick, like the vials are only good for 6 hours. So then you've got to be able to distribute these vaccines within 6 hours, or else then the vaccine is questioned about, I guess, viability, thereafter. So what they're trying to figure out then is working with like home care nurses and things like that to maybe potentially do distributions for those who are homebound, within like the same geographic area. So they're not necessarily driving all around, the state trying to get these people vaccinated.
Yeah.
You're trying to get, I guess, the most bang for your buck. The state's still trying to figure this out. These, people who are homebound have not been forgotten. And I'm also trying to work too as well. I have a call into, somebody who's working with home care nurses as well to try to get COVID vaccines. And so, those who are homebound, please know you're not forgotten. We're just trying to figure out how to best get the vaccine to you. So that way, we can make sure that everybody safely gets vaccinated and, we can do it in the most effective way possible.
Would that be orchestrated through something like Neshoba Associated Boards of Health?
When I was talking to the state 2 weeks ago, it really wasn't clear. It's still at a state level at this point. So I haven't heard any like more concrete plans. I have another meeting Friday at 2. They may have a better idea at this point. But it just really wasn't concrete when I had my last meeting.
What did Charlie Baker say? His hair's on fire about this issue with all of the crazy stuff going on and people getting totally frustrated. Well, I hope it doesn't render him bald. All right. If there's no other new business, do I see hands? Do I see mouths opening? I do not. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
I second.
All right, Karen Schultz? Karen Schultz, yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Rachel Boyer,
Yes.
Wes Durant,
Yep.
we hear him now, all right.
Hear him.
Pat Wheeler? Pat Wheeler? Hello, Pat? She muted herself.
No.
No.
Oh.
We won't be able to conclude the meeting because Pat's not listening. All right, Bob Blair, yes. I think that's a quorum anyway. So the meeting is adjourned. The next one will be, wait for it, 3/24 at 4 p.m.